Tensions are high in Jerusalem following clashes between Israeli police and Palestinian protesters outside the Al-Aqsa Mosque in one of the city's most sensitive areas. More than 150 people were injured in the violence. Palestinian anger has been fuelled by possible evictions in mainly Arab East Jerusalem to make room for Jewish settlers. A court decision is expected in the coming days with fears of more unrest.
Tensions boil over, and the area around Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque descends into chaos. Palestinian protesters take aim at Israeli police, hurling stones, bottles and fireworks. Officers in riot gear respond with a show of force. They're throwing bombs at Muslim worshippers to empty Al-Aqsa Mosque. Dozens of protesters sustain injuries, many to the face and eyes, from rubber-coated bullets and shrapnel from stun grenades. With nearby emergency rooms filling up fast, the Palestinian Red Crescent sets up a field hospital to treat the wounded. The violence at one of Islam's most revered sites erupted after the final Friday prayer of Ramadan. Throughout the Muslim holy month, anger has been building over a bid by Jewish settlers to evict Palestinians from their homes in East Jerusalem. The court case was the focus of Friday's sermon at Al-Aqsa Mosque, and many worshippers stayed on to protest. They were backed by international calls for calm and restraint. The United Nations warned Israel would be violating international law if it approved the evictions.
We wish to emphasize that East Jerusalem remains part of the occupied Palestinian territory in which international humanitarian law applies. The occupying power must respect and cannot confiscate private property in occupied territory.
Israel's Supreme Court is expected to rule on the evictions on Monday. Both sides are bracing for more violence, because on that same day, Israel will be marking Jerusalem Day, an annual celebration of its annexation of East Jerusalem in 1967.
DW's Tanya Kremer is in Jerusalem and joins me now. Tanya, tell us more about the Palestinian families whose potential eviction has sparked this latest unrest.
Well, I'm standing here in Sheikh Jarrah. This is a Palestinian neighborhood in East Jerusalem, and you see here behind me the barriers with the police here. This is actually where 4 families are threatened with imminent eviction by eviction files claimed by Jewish settler organization. This decision was postponed from last Thursday to Monday, where we expect a decision to be taken. So we have seen here over the past days, actually the past 10 days, we've seen here, young people mainly coming together here in this street, breaking iftar, and then there were protests which were then dispersed by the police. The eviction issue is not new here. This started almost a decade ago and even goes beyond that, with Jewish organizations claiming the land here and the houses. And I talked to some of the families, they would be thrown out of their house. Now, more families are also currently in court, and more families could be evicted then also by August.
As you mentioned, this has been ongoing for years, but the violence has been ramping up in recent weeks, sectarian violence in the city. What's being done to try and calm the tensions?
Well, I think this is a bit the million-dollar question, but it also doesn't come as a surprise. Protests have been going on for now almost 2 weeks, and I think for many Palestinians, the red line was essentially last night what happened on the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. Now, we also understand that Arab-Israeli leaders from inside Israel have called for more demonstrations. And this weekend is particularly sensitive. It's the last night, a very important night tonight of Ramadan. Not the last night of Ramadan, it's Laylat al-Qadr, where a lot of people will go into the old city. And then the next days we have the Jerusalem Day, where right-wing Israelis and a lot of settlers are marching through the old city and Palestinian neighborhoods to remind of the capture of East Jerusalem in 1967. So this is clearly also seen every year as a provocation by Palestinians.
All right, Tanya, thanks for that update. DW's Tanya Kremer in Jerusalem.